It's the late 1980s, and Guns N' Roses is at the peak of rock stardom, selling out arenas and headlining festivals worldwide. At the heart of this powerhouse band stand two figures as iconic as the music itself: Axl Rose, the unpredictable yet magnetic frontman, and Slash, the top-hatted guitar god. Together, they helped craft a sound that captured an entire generation. But behind the electrifying stage presence and sold-out concerts lay a turbulent, combustible relationship that would soon become one of rock's most infamous feuds. Guns N' Roses burst onto the scene in 1987 with their debut album, Appetite for Destruction, which catapulted them to stardom. Tracks like Sweet Child O' Mine and Welcome to the Jungle became instant classics, with Axl's raw vocals and Slash's masterful riffs creating an undeniable chemistry that fans loved. But as their fame grew, so did the fractures in their relationship. Axl's perfectionist tendencies clashed with Slash's more laid-back, rock-and-roll approach to life and music. Although their personalities balanced each other creatively, they created tension within the band, setting the stage for deeper issues to come. The tensions between Axl and Slash went from backstage whispers to full-blown disputes when Slash chose to collaborate with pop megastar Michael Jackson in the early 1990s. For Axl, this wasn't just a typical disagreement, it was a personal betrayal. Jackson had been accused of child abuse, and Axl, who had his own traumatic experiences with abuse as a child, felt deeply disturbed by Slash's decision to play guitar on tracks like Black or White and Give In to Me. Axl saw Slash's decision as turning a blind eye to something he found morally unforgivable, and it became a breaking point in their relationship. This disagreement wasn't merely about artistic differences, it was rooted in Axl's personal pain, and he felt that Slash had disregarded a core part of his values. Axl's disappointment soon turned to resentment. In interviews, he would go on to refer to Slash as a cancer, someone who had no place in his life. This harsh label shocked fans and intensified the rift between them. For Axl, Slash's choice represented a betrayal that he struggled to forgive, further fueled by the growing competition and clashing egos within the band. Their differences didn't end with personal clashes, they ran deeper, cutting into the heart of Guns N' Roses' creative and business decisions. As the band skyrocketed to fame in the late 1980s and early 1990s, Axl Rose's ambition took center stage, and his desire for complete control became undeniable. The more successful Guns N' Roses became, the more Axl began to view it as his own project, his vision for what rock music could be. He wanted to push the band's boundaries, experimenting with new styles and making big decisions that would shape the future of Guns N' Roses. But in doing so, he started making executive decisions that diminished the input of other members, especially Slash. At first, the changes were subtle. Axl would make minor adjustments, sign off on studio decisions without consulting the band, or insist on new ideas during recording sessions. But these moments added up, creating a slow but steady shift in power dynamics within the band. Contracts were signed that favored Axl's authority, effectively sidelining Slash and others who had once been equals in this musical journey. To Slash, this shift was painful. He felt like a co-founder who was being forced into the background of a project he had helped bring to life. Guns N' Roses had always been collaborative, a fusion of styles, ideas, and personalities, and now it felt as though that synergy was disappearing, overshadowed by Axl's singular vision. One particularly painful instance of Axl's power play came with the decision to record a cover of the Rolling Stones' Sympathy for the Devil for the Interview with the Vampire soundtrack. Slash had recorded guitar parts for the track, but Axl, in a move that would become a flashpoint for their animosity, replaced Slash's parts with new recordings by guitarist Paul Tobias. For Slash, this wasn't just a song, it was a breach of trust, a blatant dismissal of his contributions. To be sidelined in such a high-profile way, especially with a track so symbolic and impactful, felt like the ultimate betrayal. It wasn't just a matter of creative differences, it was as though Axl was saying he no longer needed or valued Slash's artistic voice in the band. This act was more than a one-time insult, it was the final straw in a series of slights that had been building for years. Slash saw it as a confirmation of what he had feared all along. Guns N' Roses was no longer the band he had poured his soul into, it was becoming Axl's personal project, with the rest of them serving as mere sidemen. The rift grew deeper, and for Slash, each studio session, every decision taken without him, felt like one more nail in the coffin of the band he loved. This loss of control over his own creative contributions in Guns N' Roses was too much to bear, and it became a pivotal moment that would eventually lead him to make the heart-wrenching decision to leave the band he had helped build from the ground up. By 1996, tensions between Axl Rose and Slash reached an explosive breaking point. Their once unbreakable bond had frayed beyond repair, strained by battles over creative direction, ego, and control. Slash, feeling increasingly marginalized and frustrated by Axl's dominance, made the gut-wrenching decision to walk away from Guns N' Roses. It wasn't a move he took lightly. After a decade of pouring his soul into the band, leaving was like tearing away a part of himself. But the alternative, continuing to be in a band where he felt creatively stifled and personally slighted, was even harder to imagine. For Slash, the split meant freedom, but it also meant the end of an era defined by music, friendship, and electrifying performances that had captivated fans around the world. Under Axl's leadership, Guns N' Roses continued with new lineups, though they lacked the fiery chemistry that had once defined them. Axl brought in different musicians to fill the gap left by Slash and other departing members, but without Slash's distinctive, soulful guitar, Guns N' Roses struggled to recapture the magic that had once set them apart. Critics were divided, and fans felt conflicted. Many saw Axl's persistence as both a testament to his vision and a sign of unyielding control. The magic of Guns N' Roses had always been in the balance of personalities, the clash of creative minds, and without Slash, the band felt different. Axl's efforts to carry on were admirable but fraught with challenges as each new lineup faced scrutiny and skepticism. Meanwhile, Slash refused to slow down. He threw himself into new projects like Slash's Snake Pit and later Velvet Revolver, finding renewed creative freedom and exploring music without the weight of his past conflicts with Axl. The move wasn't without its own set of challenges. Each new project meant building something from the ground up, a daunting task when you've already been a part of a world-famous band. But for Slash, these new ventures represented something Axl's vision couldn't give him: independence. Still, he couldn't escape the long shadow of Guns N' Roses. Fans and media alike continued to ask about the feud, casting Slash and Axl as lifelong rivals. Even in his new bands, Slash faced constant reminders of what had been, and of what could never quite be again. Their feud became the stuff of rock legends, a bitter saga that only deepened over time. Axl publicly called Slash a whore for the limelight, a pointed jab that struck at Slash's continued success. It was a scathing insult, one that shocked fans and solidified the rift between the two. For Slash, Axl's words underscored everything he'd come to resent about his former bandmate. Axl's need to control not just the band but even the narrative of their shared history. In return, Slash labeled Axl as egotistical and power-hungry, someone who would stop at nothing to bend the band's legacy to his own desires. The public mudslinging took on a life of its own, with each insult and accusation adding fuel to a fire that fans began to think would never die out. Their rivalry even cast a shadow over their 2012 induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. For fans, it was a bittersweet moment. Slash and other former members showed up to honor the legacy they'd built, but Axl's refusal to attend was a glaring reminder of the bitterness that remained. Instead of a triumphant reunion, the event felt incomplete, as though an important piece of rock history was missing. Axl's absence spoke volumes, and the fans could only watch as the feud left yet another scar on the band's legacy. Each new development in their feud painted a more complex picture of two men who had once been brothers in arms, now estranged icons standing on opposite sides of the same story. For years, a reconciliation seemed as impossible as ever. Axl and Slash had become polar opposites, each representing different aspects of what Guns N' Roses had meant to fans. Axl's fierce dedication to the band's legacy, combined with his vision of grandeur, clashed with Slash's raw and unpolished approach that had made Appetite for Destruction an instant classic. Fans remained divided, with some loyal to Axl's vision for Guns N' Roses, while others held onto the spirit of the original lineup, defined by its gritty edge and chaotic energy. Their feud became a cautionary tale, a reminder of how fame, ambition, and unyielding creative differences can erode even the most legendary partnerships in rock history. Then, in a twist no one could have predicted, the two legendary rock stars reunited. In 2016, after years of public feuding and scathing interviews, Axl Rose and Slash announced they would share the stage once again for Guns N' Roses, not in this lifetime tour. For fans, it felt like a dream come true, an unexpected gift that brought back a piece of rock history they thought was lost forever. After years of tension, missed opportunities, and even bitter refusals to attend awards ceremonies together, this reunion was more than just a concert. It was a chance to see the magic of the original lineup reignited. In interviews, Slash described the experience as cathartic, acknowledging that both he and Axl had grown past the anger that once poisoned their relationship. Time had allowed their resentment to fade, and both musicians seemed ready to let go of old grudges. For years, Axl had refused even the idea of speaking with Slash, once famously describing him as a cancer, but somehow the ice had melted. It started with a tentative call, initiated while Slash was on tour with his own band. The conversation led to others, opening doors that had been closed for nearly 2 decades. Their first rehearsals together were electric. Axl's powerful voice, tempered by years of experience and growth, blended effortlessly with Slash's iconic guitar riffs, transporting the audience back to the raw energy of their early days. For fans, it was as if time hadn't passed. The chemistry on stage was unmistakable, and every note felt like a tribute to the past they had fought so hard to preserve. They performed with an intensity and unity that hadn't been seen in years, each seemingly appreciative of the other's presence in a way that had once felt impossible. The tour was a massive success, a triumphant return that reminded the world why Guns N' Roses was once dubbed the most dangerous band in the A. Today, their story has transcended the bitterness of rivalry and jealousy. It has become a symbol of redemption and resilience. Now both in their 50s, Axl and Slash have redefined their relationship, showing fans that even the deepest wounds can heal with time and perspective. They remain two icons who, despite their differences, are forever bound by a shared legacy. Together, they crafted songs that became anthems, lived through dizzying highs and shattering lows, and forged a bond that has proven unbreakable. Their journey is a testament to the power of forgiveness and the enduring magic of rock and roll.